It's the Final Word Cricket Podcast, the New Zealand-Australia Daily, here on the turf of Hagley Oval. Adam Collins and Jeff Lemon for cbusuper.com.au. Jeff, start us off with a 30-second summary.
A dirty
30.
A dirty 30.
A dirty 30-second summary.
What could it be, like the dirty under 30? You know,
Yes.
like the 30 dirty under 30. The 30 dirtiest people of a certain age. Right, let's do it. What happened today? Australia won the toss and chose to bowl. Love doing that. Pat Cummins loves it. Bit of green in the pitch. Wasn't too troublesome for New Zealand for nearly 20 overs. They were 47 for none. And then Will Young gets out, and then suddenly, well, he got out to Starc, but Hazelwood goes bang, 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 4 for 14 in a spell. And then pretty much that was it. Starc took it 2 in 2. 50-run partnership down the order, didn't really matter. They made 162. That was it. And Australia were 4 for 124 at the close. So New Zealand with a few top order wickets, but Australia only 38 behind.
Yeah, sexy Matt Henry summer, 3 for 39 for him, picking up Khawaja, Green and Head late in the piece. We'll come to that in a little bit.
You just portmanteaued sexy Ryan Harris and hot Matt Henry summer.
I thought
I put them together.
I did it the other day as well.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know, it's fine now. I'm relaxed about that. Marnus
I'm in
Labuschagne's
favour of it.
there.
This is a space for
On
innovation.
45 at the close. He's put on 17 with the night watchman line. He's won from 8 balls. They trailed by 38. And earlier today, Josh Hazelwood completed his 12th 5-wicket bag in Test cricket. 5 for 31 from 13.2 overs. He was absolutely superb. They lost 8 for 60, New Zealand, after their 47-run opening stand. Either side of the break, Hazelwood 6 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 7. The collapse was 5 for 28, remembering that New Zealand were 5 for 29 at one stage early in their first innings this time last week. So from that point forward, a 55-run stand between Southey and Henry got them somewhere. And by somewhere, I mean 162. They lost their last 2 wickets on that score. But you know, they've kind of hung in there with the ball. They weren't perfect,
but not far enough.
They needed
away.
one more, and they didn't need to let. They needed one more, ideally.
it's like
5 down, and it's we probably are having a slightly different conversation. But Australia well ahead.
Say it's a horror movie, and they're being chased through the house, and they like fall over and they crawl backwards down the hallway or whatever. And it's like, well, instead of getting murdered in the hallway, they made it in the backyard, and then got murdered in the backyard. Like they got a little bit further away, but not further enough away to actually make it matter. I guess there was a point when Smith gets out relatively early, leaves a ball, Sears on debut after getting hit for 4 first ball, has it coming back in, hits him outside the line, but he hasn't played a shot, so that's given out. Nitin Menon, I love that old-fashioned umpiring. He's like, yep, didn't play a shot, you're out. Doesn't matter what else is happening. And DRS came to the party and went, okay, grazing the outside of off stump, no worries. And then when Khawaja gets done, sort of bowled behind his legs by a fast bowler, which is unusual, Henry sort of gets it to clip like that, the outside of the back knee near the pad and then spin back onto the stumps. Maybe at that point, that was the inflection point where New Zealand could have put pressure on, but Green and Labuschagne do enough, I think, at that point. Even though they don't make big runs, Green makes 25, Labuschagne's still there. It just got Australia out of that, like, if they lost a couple more quickly there, then maybe New Zealand are thinking, well, we can smash them for a similar amount, but it will still take a huge effort for New Zealand to be within touch.
Yeah, they batted for about an hour, didn't they? Green and Labuschagne, they added 49, and 32 for 2. The Labuschagne bit, my apologies to Khawaja, but I quite enjoyed from Henry. I mean, he beats him on the outside edge. A compelling shout for leg before. It was going over, they didn't review it, but he was convinced. The next ball is a shout for leg before as well. And then Khawaja goes across his stumps, gave the leg stump away, which meant when it got the deflection, there was something there for it to rebound back onto. So, well bowled Matt Henry, who is clearly the attack leader now. I mean, Southey is the captain.
He was so
Southey
good.
takes the first over, but Henry is the man. And this is a ground where he's enjoyed success before, a 7-wicket bag against South Africa a couple of years ago. He's got 3 Test half-centuries on this ground as well. And don't get me wrong, Southey's cleaned up here before as well. No one's got more wickets on this venue. Southey's played every Test here and taken 59 wickets at 21 or whatever it is. But Henry, it's just that he is the one bowler at the level that you need to be at to threaten a top-class batting lineup. And it's Australian lineup right now. I mean, 4 of them have been dismissed between 11 and 25, so that's where they've all kind of got themselves in vaguely. And Labuschagne's the last man standing out of that crew. So well played, Marnus, to get through that, considering he's averaging 22 this season, including all the Test matches played in Australia and last week at Wellington. He needs a score here. For the first time in his Test career, he really is kind of under the pump, and he's got to where he needs to be overnight, red ink.
Yeah, he had 4 single-figure scores in a row leading into this one, which I don't think is enough of a terrible streak to really, really have him under pressure, but there would have been conversation about it, I'm sure.
A double failure here, and it might come down to, like, what do you do in the Shield before the India series?
Yeah.
You know? Whereas now, so long as he gets somewhere tomorrow, it's improbable we'd even be in that situation.
I figured it'd be the other way around. A double failure here, he's still got pretty much 9 months off, and by that time they'll forget, past sins will be forgotten, and they'll just go with whatever they were going with before. Whereas if they were playing another couple of tests in another couple of months, and then he had a bad run there, then that might have him out of the side by the next summer. But yeah, the Henry ball to green, it's a beautiful delivery, and it's not extravagant. It's not a show and off. It's not a stain to Dendulka sort of angle across to leg stump, swing, pitch, like do massive amounts. It just does a little bit, but it just angles in and just seems a touch, and just seems enough to completely beat bat and pad. Like, it didn't even ricochet even slightly. It went so close to the front pad, but didn't.
I think it did hit the front pad. Had it not got onto the stumps, it would have been out leg before, is my sense of it. But yeah, you're right. Like, it was a
I was
subtle
trying to watch it on the real slow-mo. I was like, does that graze the pad? Maybe it just grazes the pad, but it doesn't change the trajectory. It's heading for the stumps anyway. So, beautiful bit of bowling. He ends up with 3 of the 4 to fall, with the other one going to Sears. But yeah, let's rewind back to the start, where Cummins loves to bowl. He's captain. I think this is his 29th test as captain. He's won the toss 18 times, and he's chosen to bowl 6 times out of 18. I doubt you would find another Australian captain who chose to bowl a third of the time. And out of those 6, they've won 4, they've lost 1, and they're playing this one, which looks pretty good to be win number 5.
In your Twitter mentions, you'll see some correspondence. I think Andy Thomas sent it through that makes that point, just about. I think Cummins is a little bit lower than, interestingly, Steve Waugh. And there's one other captain in there too. I didn't read it that carefully. But overall, you're right. When we saw Cummins at the toss this morning, and he's like, well, if there's something there early on, I'm going to have a crack. Even though he said to us at the press conference yesterday that he weighs up, is it going to be harder to bat in the 4th innings or the 1st innings? And that's the metric he uses. But I don't think it was really that today. It was like, well, there's something about this pitch. There was certainly something to aim at. At the northern end, they were fascinated by this spot before play today. And look, I'm not saying that's a spot Hazelwood hit over and over again, but it's certainly what he was aiming for, and the spell that he bowled was so immaculate, he may as well have hit the spot. The way he was getting the ball to not so much balloon off a length, but again, is that what you were describing before, the subtle movement off the seam. That's where Hazelwood's been a gem. He's taken 272 test wickets at better than 25. This season, he's up to 34 at 13.5. Remembering he didn't play the 2 previous Australian summers, bar maybe 2 test matches or whatever it worked out to be.
And people were rumbling a little bit of like, oh, maybe he's done.
Well, who played the World Test Championship final? It was Scott Boland over him. And I'm not saying that was like the best 11 necessarily, but in a big final, Hazelwood didn't play.
Because they were still worried about his injuries and stuff.
Sure, but still, I mean, it doesn't discount the fact that you wouldn't dream of leaving him out of any Australian team right now bowling the way that he is.
No, and he used these conditions so well. It was classic, a little bit in it, bit of green, bang the deck, and it's after Starc opens the door for him. So they bat through almost 19 overs. The openers, Latham, actually looked pretty decent, had a couple of overs where he hit 2 boundaries in an over a couple of times, eased a couple through the covers. It was like, okay, well maybe Tom Latham's gonna come good here, but not quite. It's Young who tries to turn one to the leg side, gets almost the back of the bat.
I thought it was back of the bat. Yeah, it was a good catch by Mitch Marsh, because if you're looking out towards, let's say, forward square leg and you're at third slip, the last thing you're expecting you're going to be doing is diving in front of second slip. And he got down low, and sort of 1.5 hands, and he's turned himself into a really good gripper in there, Mitch Marsh.
Well, because he doesn't have to be in the gully anymore, because Cameron Green is. He was in the gully 8 years ago, but I'm going to come to that in the Hall of Fame. Now, so number 47, they're looking okay. They're steady enough, and then that one gets held, and then Hazelwood just turns it on. He bowls a really good ball to Latham, coming around the wicket. Angles in, seems away a bit. Latham has to play. It's coming in at his pads, just moves away a touch, takes the edge. The Rachin Ravindra plays up, horrible shot, wide ball, loose drive, doesn't need to do it, just before lunch, etc., etc. They're in the 26th over, so they got through 25.2 overs before lunch. A dismal over 8 yet again, but Ravindra's out just before that break, and then he comes back after the break, Hazelwood, and he gets Daryl Mitchell walking at him, sort of squares him up and edges that into the cordon, and then Williamson, the one that angles in, burrows through the shot, hits him on the back leg in front of middle. They have to review it because it's Kane Williamson, the compulsory Kane Williamson review. I don't think he wanted it. I think his batting partner was like, I'm sorry, you're Kane Williamson, you must review this, and it was as stone dead as they get. Yeah,
it's worth backing over all of them. So with Latham, you're right, it's just the angles, it's the geometry of the way he sets up. Latham ends up with Khawaja at first slip. Ravindra, shocker. last over before lunch. But it's not just that.
No.
It's the 10 minutes before lunch.
Yeah.
He was threatening to get out that way. He got out in a similar way for Nord at Wellington last week. I know he played brilliantly for an hour or two in the second dig, but my instinct, and it's not just me, everyone's really saying it, is that he's a test number 6 right now, and then one day he'll be a test number 4, but he's there ahead of his time, and there's no doubting his talent, but his judgments skew with, especially when you're nearing a break. You've just lost 2 wickets in that half an hour or 40 minutes or thereabouts preceding it. It is essential that New Zealand are 2 down at lunch.
Yep.
And they're not, and it changes the energy. The Mitchell bit, so Mitchell drives Hazelwood for 4, first ball of that over. Sort of a tempter. You're probably thinking, gee, Hazelwood's bowled well, but this will be the last over of the spell, right? This will be the last over of the spell. Yep. We'll see him in an hour. Instead, he goes back of a length and drags one back into the pad. They appeal for leg before it's turned down. And the next one hits almost the identical place, wobble seam, angles away, finds the edge, superb.
Yep.
And then Williamson, extra pace, a little bit fuller, back off the seam, traps him in front, and you're spot on. Williamson was walking off. Then he realised, the old L'Oreal review, he's worth it. But more to the point, he's the best player in the team. They've got to do it just on the off chance that maybe it's one of those ones with the projection not going the way it feels in real time.
Scratches the inside edge or something.
Exactly. So by the time that's done, they are absolutely stuffed. And it was only going to take a couple of extra moments, and sure enough, who provides them? Mitchell Starc, who earlier in the day had gone past Dennis Lillee, or equaled Dennis Lillee with the one that came off the back of the bat that we referred to before.
Phillips ball that gets him the lead, some short ball that Phillips gloves down the leg side for 2, disappointing. Loved watching Phillips in Wellington. What was not disappointing was Kugelan was out first ball with his foot blown off. What a shame. See you later. Second ball in Wellington, first ball here.
Thought it was a conservative selection. I actually think,
selection.
I think it's conservative. I think that, I know this might sound counterintuitive, but you've got to give your bowling attack a chance to hold up an end. Henry can do it, right? But who else in that group of bowlers?
You need Henry to attack. You need Henry to be the cutting edge.
Yeah, but who else in that group of bowlers is going to be able to bowl a dry spell where they go at 2 and over or better? The only one in the squad is Mitch Shatner.
Yeah.
And didn't get a chance here. And I know the game's moving quickly. It might be over in 3 days. It might be a moot point. Spin may not play a role at all. Lyon only bowled a few overs before lunch and that was it. But still, I feel like had they been able to have thrown the ball to Sutton in the last half an hour before stumps tonight, Australia might be 20 fewer.
Yep.
It's small margins, but he's certainly a better batter than Kugelan. He would have been there at 8. More experienced, better temperamentally suited to getting through a tough stretch of play. Instead, they lose 3 wickets in 4 balls with a score on 107.
3 for none. And
just like last week.
Blundell with a little underside of his glove to Green on review, and then Starc comes back in the next over and bowls the hat-trick ball. I'll come back to that Hall of Fame as well, but not a good ball, goes down the leg side. But had he taken
a hat-trick ball, did he just kind of... I was watching a side on with a mate.
Smashed Henry in the thigh.
Oh, right, okay. Looked a bit closer from mid-wicket, shall we say.
Well, no, I mean, the line was nowhere near it. It was going way down, and it was too high. But had he taken the hat-trick, how many times has somebody taken a hat-trick where another wicket has fallen in the intervening over?
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't have been much of that, because Blundell gets out in the Green over.
Yeah.
I mean, we see him taking across overs relatively often.
Top of my head, I mean, it's when it's 2 innings. There's quite a few of them.
Well, not when it's 2 innings, but say even
when
in
it's
the
another
same
over
innings,
in the same innings.
when another wicket falls. So when the hat-trick, you take the second one of the hat-trick at 4 down, and then you're getting the next one at 6 down.
Yeah, I like it. I'm sure that can be worked out by Glenn Finkeld or Sean McGivern or one of our Nerd Pledge CSI crew.
Sure. Somebody needs to find that. Anyway, so that's, the hat-trick ball, no good. Southey and Henry just had some fun, hit some boundaries, put on 55, had a good time, made 20-odd each, no worries. Southey hit another 6, so he's got 88 now. He's equalled Brian Lara.
He overtook Chris Cairns, who was here today. Cairns was here today, and, I mean, in context, I think he was looking really good.
Yeah, good.
It didn't I perhaps interpreted things in such a way that he wouldn't able to be doing these types of things anymore. But no, he was here. He was up and about. He had he clearly was impeded to some extent, but he was here at the cricket. He's back living in this part of the world. So great to see him back at the cricket. Yeah,
I mean, the horrific battle that he had to get through. Yeah. So those, and then it's Henry caught behind off Hazelwood for his 5th after Southey holds out for 26. Henry, little scratch, really good review, tiny little tickle on it.
Don't blame my Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and then that was it. That was his 5 for 31. 1 wicket each for Cummins and Green, 162 all out. And then, the Australian innings we ran through already with Matt Henry the star with the ball, but look, they're only 38 behind. Probably Hall of Fame time?
I reckon it might be. The Final Word Hall of Fame is brought to you by CBUS Super. This is our last little run with CBUS Super for the time being. Once we get to the end of this test match, that's the end of our summer, our hot Matt Henry summer.
The bus will
with
be
CBUS.
at the terminal. The bus will be at the terminus, and you must disembark and wait for the next service to resume.
And wait for the next CBUS to come through. But between times, you can get your super sorted out. cbussuper.com.au, 8.89%. You know the story because we've told you the story over the last 4 months, I think it is. But it's important to
spoon feed you.
It's that sort of...
We can't do it for you. We can't amalgamate your super accounts for you. We wish we had that power. We may in time have that power.
But they
Who
can.
knows?
They can.
They can. Oh, he's got him.
They can, and they should, and they will.
Can you believe that?
cbussuper.com.au, that aforementioned performance that I mentioned is not a reliable indicator of future performance, but boy, what a number. It's one of these ones too, an industry fund. We told you all about the solution with industry funds, the trustee model. We're going to keep talking about it till the end of the week, but get your super sorted out, Jeff. You've already kind of hinted towards your Hall of Fame, but why don't you start there?
A couple. I'll start with, so I was talking to Mitchell Starc by the boundary doing the little post-match, and Matt Henry stopped by on the way to his little post-match and just stopped in and he said, oh, bloody hell, mate, that hat-trick ball, you just about took my leg off. You absolutely tenderised me. And they had a laugh about it, and it was nice. It was nice to see the members of a cricket team not hating each other or trying to kill each other.
It's kind of funny. I asked Starc about the Lillee thing, and it just didn't seem to.
I don't think he's too.
It doesn't seem to.
Or he doesn't want to make a big deal about it.
No,
I'm
that's
not sure
fine.
If it's one or the other.
That's fine. I feel like it's one of those ones where if you're immersed in the history of the game and all the rest of it, you're like, wow, Dennis Lillee, like, it was the gold standard forever. And going beyond it.
I tried to give him the context.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, come on. Glenn McGrath's the only other fast bowler to do it for Australia. Like, this is a big thing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, yes, okay, it is a big thing.
Yeah, just good to get the 4 points.
It's an honour to be up there around a legend, basically. And, fair enough. Maybe these things matter to us more than they matter to others. Maybe that's okay.
It'll probably matter an awful lot more when he finishes his career.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of that, I wasn't going to raise this in the Hall of Fame, but it's 50 years today since the first day of the Christchurch Test match in 1974 at Lancaster Park, where that I talked about the function that was coming up on our previous show. What a wonderful privilege it was to be there last night, Jeff, here in the Hadley Pavilion, where I think it was 8 of the New Zealand players, including the 12th man, 3 Hadleys in that lot too, were up on stage. So was Jerry doing his thing, but being able to reflect on a milestone moment. It's a shame that the side haven't performed as well this year on the 8th of March as they did in 1974. But that was a really cool thing to be kind of let into their little world in New Zealand cricket. Plenty of laughs along the way and plenty of stories and so on, but crucially understanding how important historically it was. They've only beaten Australia 8 times in Test cricket, and they were the team to do it first. Yes,
not quite Hall of Fame, but I should mention the Christchurch meetup will be at the Pegasus Arms.
We're back there.
On the Saturday, the day 2, which is the day after this day, which is the day 1, which is also known as tomorrow. But people might be listening to this at a time that is not today, and thus it won't be tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Sunday. So it's on the Saturday, it's on the second day. We'll probably won't be there much before 8 o'clock, if at all. But 7:30 to 8 will be our rough.
To be fair, it's around the corner from here, and I've got my weekly scooter pass in Christchurch, so I'll be there 3 minutes after. I'll be there by 7:30. I'm going to back myself in, unless we have rain or another interruption tomorrow.
My real Hall of Fame was just looking back over the 2016 Test here, day 1 of that, when McCullum came out at 3 for 32, made his 100 off 54 balls, made 145 off about 70 balls, while batting with Corey Anderson. I was talking to Jim Maxwell about it. He goes, who was supporting him? I was like, well, Corey Anderson was the anchor. He made 72 off 66, and their partnership was something like 170 off about 17 overs. So they went at 10 and over with somebody playing the supporting role, striking at about 120.
I remember this. They went at 9.19 runs and over, which was the quickest partnership in Test history for the fifth wicket.
No, not fifth, because Williamson gets out.
Something like that.
He starts at 3 down, then Williamson he puts on like 45, of which Williamson makes 7, and then Williamson gets out, and then it's Anderson from there. So it'd be the fourth.
I remember doing a lap when it was all happening and being on commentary. And it was nice to kind of have those memories 8 years on today. My Hall of Fame is the Matt Henry last man out. There was a review. Now, Marnus earlier in the day did that thing he occasionally does where he says, I have heard something, Skipper. I have heard something. He had not heard something.
Okay.
He had heard, but Pat Cummins didn't want a bar of it.
Sure.
So they turned away and said,
no.
Love you. You're my number 3. You're a good cricketer, but I'm not taking this it all seriously. Today, 10th wicket, he heard something. None of us, no one thought there was even a review when they said on the tannoy, we're going to see front-on vision play. Like, what?
Yeah.
They've reviewed this, but it wasn't just Labuschagne, it was Green as well, and Labuschagne was celebrating all the way off the field. I think that reflects that he's had a couple of shockers on that front, but whatever he heard worked today. Southie tried one of them quite late in the day where nobody heard anything, but someone did in the cord, and he went upstairs and they blew a review. I think that was about a quarter of an hour to go. And we mentioned the 107 before. There were 3 wickets on 107 in the space of 4 balls in New Zealand's batting innings. A further wicket on 107. Travis Head.
Fundamentally not ideal.
We didn't mention Head's cameo, by the way. Hit a 6 and 3/4 and got out from an inside edge for 21 from 19 frenetic balls. He was also out on 107. I doubt there's been a number, or maybe they would under 10, a number that high where a number as high as 107 with so many wickets on it in one day. In one day, I wonder?
I reckon there would be with like a tail end cleanup
maybe
where they go through the last 4 or something.
No, you're right.
Nobody had to run.
Of course there would have been. Maybe if you reduce it to...
Maybe if it's middle order players.
It's got to be
like
before the fall of the 4th wicket or something. You know
I'm
what I'm trying to do here.
There's a way we can massage
We can root maths it some way.
To make that be a cool stat.
That's really all I've got. I've got written down the Pegasus as well, because that's where we're going to be tomorrow night, and that means it's the end of the podcast today. You can listen to the Durham-Sharla Daily with Cam Ponsonby and Dan Norcross. That was quite funny. You know what? I didn't watch any of that yesterday, apart from a couple of balls when we got home from the function, and I listened to it when getting ready for work today, and I learnt everything I needed to know. So that's exactly what the Daily's all about. Cam was on great form, talking about the lot in life of left arm wrist spinners. That clips on social media as well. And that's it. cbussuper.com.au. Get your super sorted out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Lovely to be in Christchurch. We'll see some of you at the pub tomorrow, and the rest will talk to you at the close of play. Good night.
Bye.